On the windswept hills of Ireland, Loftus Hall is steeped in eerie legend, a place where the opulence meets the ominous. Tales of mysterious visitors, ghostly figures, and a night that changed the course of its history forever has made it one of Ireland's most haunted houses. Welcome to Cinnamon Babe's Horror History. Once upon a time, in 1170, a man named Raymond Fitzgerald acquired land in the Wexford area of Ireland. He built a castle called Houseland Castle. In 1350, the house was torn down and rebuilt, and this was during the Black Death Plague. And during the Irish Confederate Wars, the house has seen a lot of battle and a lot of death. And in 1642, along with many soldiers, a nephew of the residents was hanged in the front yard. That wouldn't be the last war that the house has seen. In fact, the residents of the home defended themselves and used the house as a fortress. And Alexander Raymond passed away inside the castle, and his family was evicted from the property. In 1666, Nicholas Loftus purchased the land in the castle. And in 1680, he inscribed in stone in the front area of the home Loftus Hall, so that was the new name of the property. And throughout the 1700s and 1800s, there was some remodeling done, and the property was passed down through the Loftus generation. In 752, Charles Totem inherited the property from marrying into the family. He married Anne Loftus, and the two had 6 children before she passed away. They had 4 boys and 2 girls, and one of those girls was named Anne. 2 years after his wife's passing, Charles remarried, and the only child that remained in the home was Anne, and the 3 of them lived in Loftus Hall. So one windy, stormy night, as the wind howled through the halls of Loftus Hall, the family was settling in, and it was late at night, when all of a sudden a ship unexpectedly arrived at the peninsula where the house was located. A strange young man came and knocked at the front door, and Charles answered, and he allowed the stranger to come in to warm himself and also to eat with the family. Now, it is unclear how long the man stayed with the family, but it is said that Anne and the strange man had become very close within the time that he was there. So just for argument's sake, let's just say he stayed there for a week. It is said that the man was oddly tall. He was charming though, but he had a dark, unsettling aura about him. The strange man and Anne had great conversations, laughter, and like I said, they became very close. And one night, along with her father, the strange man and Anne played a game of cards in the tapestry room, or some call it the game room, but it was Anne's favorite room. But the man, he kept winning every single game of cards. It's like he had the perfect hand no matter what Anne and her father tried. And it got to the point that it got strange. And Anne ended up dropping one of the cards under the table. And so she went to go grab it. And when she went to grab it, she saw that the man did not have human feet, but he had cloven hooves, which is pretty much exactly like a goat. Anne suddenly jumped up and announced to the whole room, "You have cloven feet!" And when she did that, the man stood up abruptly and stretched his arms out, and his arms caught fire, and then he burst through the ceiling, never to be seen again. Behind him, the only evidence that he had ever been there was a giant gaping hole through the ceiling that can still be seen today. After the encounter with the strange man, Anne became extremely depressed, and she secluded herself in the tapestry room. Her family became ashamed of her, and she refused food and drink. She stayed in a fetal position with her knees up to her chin, staring out the window at the sea, waiting for her long-lost love to return. Her family continued to conceal her condition from the public until she eventually passed away from what some say a broken heart. She passed away in the same fetal position that she had spent her last days in. And because of rigor mortis and her body locking down, the family had to fashion a coffin that would accommodate her locked in fetal position. and she was buried that way in 1775. Now, it is rumored that Anne had gotten pregnant by the strange man and that she had a late-term miscarriage, and that the family was so ashamed that they hid the remains of the child in the walls of the castle of Loftus Hall. The house had undergone many different remodeling and renovation projects, and between 1860 and 1870, the remains of a baby, the bones, were discovered. Although the DNA has never been tested, it is believed that the child belonged to Anne and that strange man that burst through the ceiling in flames. And even though there had been many repair attempts to repair the hole in that wall, the hole would reappear. And like I said, it still remains there today. It's almost as if the property refuses to forget what happened that fateful night. Later on in the years, in 1917, the Sisters of Providence purchased the property, and they turned the property into a convent school for girls. But after intense hauntings like whispers, crying, cries for help, baby cries, door slams, sudden temperature drops and cold shifts, particularly in the tapestry room where Anne had passed away and spent her last days, it finally got to a point where the sisters of the convent couldn't take it anymore, and they sold the property. The castle was even turned into a hotel in 1983, but after just a couple years of being open, it closed in the 1990s. And today it is a museum and a tourist attraction, and to this day, the same hauntings that have been going on for years are still prevalent, and the house is considered the most haunted house in Ireland. Who do you think visited Loftus Hall on that fateful night? Alright, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below what you think, who you think it was that visited. A lot of people think it was the devil himself, although I'm not completely against that, because in my opinion, I think the devil has way too much important things to do, and I feel like it was kind of pointless for him, the devil himself, to visit. It could have been a demon. But let me know down in the comments what you think, and please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video. Bye!